Welcome to episode 15 of Using Your Brain for Success, the show that's all about helping you build a better life by using your brain the right way. I'm Liam Naden, and I'm glad you're here. Now, you might recall that in the last episode, we looked at the way to guarantee that you achieve your goals 100% of the time. And we saw that the way to do that is to make sure that you set the right goals. Because when you set the right goal, you activate the creative part of your brain. And this is the part that actually does all of the work in giving you everything you really want in your life and ensuring that you live your life purpose, which is not only to survive, but to thrive and be the best you can be, the strongest, healthiest, most creative, most resourceful, and most importantly of all, the happiest. Because your creative brain knows what is best for you. Therefore, it knows what the right goals for you actually are. And your creative brain communicates to you what these right goals are through your intuition and your feelings, and not through your thoughts. And this is an important point because your thoughts come from your thinking brain, which is very limited, unlike your creative brain. And this is why trying to think about how to set and achieve your goals rarely, if ever, works. Because using only your thinking brain, that causes you to set the wrong goals. And that's what causes the struggle and problems in your life. And as I've repeated many times in previous episodes of Using Your Brain for Success, being your happiest, which means with few or no problems to deal with, that's why you're here. Because the happier you are, the more the contribution you are going to be able to make, not only to your own life, but to the lives of others. So it really is your biological purpose to be happy. And when it comes to having problems in your life, well, of course, problems don't do anything to help you to be happy. They do the opposite, don't they? Problems only make you unhappy, and they also weaken you and actually reduce your abilities to survive. So from a purely natural biological point of view, there's no place in your life for problems. Problems are not a part of the natural world, and they only arise as a result of using your survival machine, in other words, your brain, the wrong way. Problems are a sign that you're doing something wrong, and they're actually there to alert you to the fact that you are operating your brain in the wrong way. If you like, they're a warning signal to you that you need to make some changes in your life, and you can only do that effectively when you make changes to the way you're using your brain. Okay, so now that we've established that the only way to guarantee that you achieve your goals and to ensure you have a happy and successful life is to set the right goals, the question is, how do you do that? How do you set the right goals? How do you know what the right goals really are? Well, that's what we're going to discuss in this episode, and I'm going to give you a 3-step formula that I use that is very effective in showing you what the right goals are and how to achieve them without struggle or frustration. I've come to the conclusion that learning how to find and set the right goals is really the missing link in the whole area of goal setting. For years I studied and I tried to apply goal setting in my life because I really wanted to be more successful. So I read books on goal setting, and I went to seminars, I listened to gurus, I studied and applied all sorts of goal setting techniques, strategies and methods. But when I finally accepted the truth that goal setting itself, the way I had been led to understand it, wasn't really working for me, then that was when I finally realized that this was the point that was actually missing. Because every book, method and teaching that I had been exposed to anyway seemed to gloss over the question of how to find the right goal. They all seem to say, well, you just pick a goal and you do this and you do this and you do this to reach it. But there was very little direction, if any, on how to pick a goal. And I was led to believe that you really can just pick any goal. It doesn't matter if it's unrealistic or even unsuitable for you. Whatever you want or think you want or say that you want, you can have it. And all you need to do is just this, X, Y, and Z, and you'll get there. But the more I was really honest with myself in observing the results I was actually getting and the results I saw other people getting, I realized that this simply isn't true. Because hoping, wishing, praying, trying hard, or using a technique such as repeating a goal over and over, what's often called an affirmation, or visualizing yourself with the goal, or trying some form of hypnosis or reprogramming of your subconscious mind, or even positive thinking, all of these things just simply don't work. Because as I found, you can't force your brain to bring you something. And in fact, if you try to force anything, the results are simply going to be more of what you don't want, which is stress, fear, anxiety, and worry, and lots of problems and frustration in your life. Because force is not true power. Force is when you push against your true self. Power is when you harness your true self. But there was also something else I realized when I started to analyze this whole thing about goals and the role they play in our life, and that is that when it's the right goal, you actually achieve it. And not only do you get what you're wanting, but you do it in a way that doesn't involve struggle. Now, of course, it requires effort, but it's an effort that you do willingly rather than unwillingly. And things flow when you're on the path to achieving the right goal. Good things happen. People in situations, the right people in situations, show up to help you rather than hinder you. And it's a completely different experience working towards the right goal. It's as if you're being guided and helped to achieve it. And this is when you're really working with yourself, with your power, rather than force. Now, how about you? Think of something significant that you've achieved in your life and ask yourself, isn't what I've said true? Wasn't achieving that goal somehow a lot easier and more pleasurable than trying to reach other goals? Goals that you didn't actually achieve? Somehow it felt right, didn't it? Now, of course, it probably took a lot of effort, and not everything went according to your plans. But when you look back on it, you realize that all of the right things happened at the right time for you to achieve that goal. Wasn't that true? And this is why setting the right goal is so important. You need to be working towards the things that truly are going to make you happy in your life, not the things that you just think will. You know, most people set a goal by saying to themselves, what do I want? Well, I'm not happy right now, so I really want something that's going to take away this pain or fear or frustration. And they take a stab in the dark and they come up with a goal and something like, oh, I want $10 million, or I want my husband or wife to love me again, or I want my children to stop arguing with me, or I want this job, or I want my business to double or be more successful. But none of these things might be right for you or even realistic. And if they're not right for you, then they certainly are not realistic. And it used to really puzzle me and even upset me slightly when I would go to seminars and other people would stand up and say, either to the whole group or just perhaps to some of the group, they'd say, my goal is to be a millionaire and I'm going to achieve it. And I could just feel that it wasn't right for them as I heard them say it. It's like being a millionaire just didn't seem to fit in with who this person seemed to be. And deep down, if I was really honest, and if they had been honest with themselves as well, it was obvious that this wasn't the right goal for them. Now, it's not to say that being a millionaire isn't the right goal for some people. Of course it is. But for many of the people who have this goal, it's simply not in harmony with who they are. And of course, they won't ever achieve it, no matter how hard they try. But of course, in this situation at the seminars, when someone would get up and announce to the group that this was their grand goal, to be a millionaire, well, of course, we all clapped and cheered and gave them encouragement. But the truth is that if you were to check in with that person a year or even maybe 5 years later, you would find that they had been no closer to reaching that goal. And I found this for myself time and time again. So I'd read a book, I'd watch a motivational video, or I'd go to a seminar to learn how to be successful and achieve my goals, and I'd get all pumped up with motivation, excitement, and determination. So I'd set a big goal and promise myself I would achieve it. And I would say, I am 100% committed to achieving this goal. I will defy the odds. I will do whatever it takes, and I will achieve this. And then I'd put down the book, or I'd go home after the seminar, and I really was motivated and determined. And I really did take massive action. And I did do all the things I said I would do. But I still didn't reach the goal. I'd struggle with problems and disappointments, and things just didn't go well. And again, being honest, not long into the process, I'd start to doubt whether this really was the right goal to have anyway. And like others I knew, I simply never achieved those goals. You know, setting the wrong goal isn't just a waste of time and energy, it's actually destructive. It can be a disaster going after a goal that you haven't established if it's the right one or not. And this isn't just true for individuals, it can be the goals of businesses and even entire nations. I mean, look at the goals of dictators, for example, and the destruction and misery that they cause or have caused in their goal to impose their ideology on an entire nation or even to conquer the world. And this also happens in the corporate world. There are many businesses that have been harmed or even destroyed, and many people hurt in the process, including the management, shareholders, employees, and even their customers, all by setting the wrong goals. Now, an example of this was the Ford Motor Company, because in the late 1960s, Lee Iacocca, who was the CEO, set a goal for the company to produce a new car that weighed less than 2,000 pounds and cost under $2,000 and have it ready for sale by the end of the decade, which was would have been by 1970. Now, this was a huge challenge for the company, and really it was something that was quite unrealistic. But in the attempt to reach the goal, the company cut all sorts of corners. And worst of all, executives found a fault with the car, which is a major safety hazard. But they covered it up, because to report and try to rectify this fault would have meant the goal would not have been reached. And what was the result? Well, the new car, which was called the Ford Pinto, it actually caused 53 deaths and many more injuries due to fires that were the result of this faulty design. And this not only created tragedy for the people who were killed or injured, but it also harmed the company with numerous lawsuits and, of course, a huge dent in their reputation and subsequent drop in sales. And all this was because the company had actually set the wrong goal. All right, so how do you set the right goals? How do you know if the goals are the right ones? Well, one of the problems with setting any goal and in knowing whether it is the right one or not is that you don't have, and you can never have, all of the information. You simply don't know what is going to happen in your life and in your world. You don't know what's going to affect your decision to achieve your goal moving forward. So even if something appears to be the right goal right now, subsequent events and circumstances might show you that it's not the right goal, or at least it might have been the right goal at one point, but it's no longer right. So this is why trying to gather information and trying to work out logically whether you have the right goal or not, it's why it never works, because you can't rely on information, because information is constantly changing. You're always getting more information. So trying to figure out what your goal should be, all of which comes from using your thinking brain, simply won't work. And it's the real reason why, for most people, most of their goals don't work, because they're trying to figure their goals out. Okay, Liam, you're saying, so if you can't figure out your goals and you can't work on trying to find the right goals, how do you do it? Well, fortunately, there is a better way, and it's the only really effective way. And I've condensed this into a simple process which I call the AAA Formula for setting the right goal. Now, I'm going to share it with you shortly, but before I do, just a word about your brain and how using it the right way is the key to choosing and achieving the right goals. Now, you'll remember from previous episodes that your brain produces two emotional brain states, and they're both designed to ensure that you survive and thrive and achieve your life purpose. And the first of these, and the one which should be your predominant state, is your natural creative state. And this is where you activate your creative brain, where everything in both your mind and your body is functioning at its best. You're being your strongest, healthiest, most resourceful, most creative and most aware, and you're feeling your best, which means, of course, being happy in the flow of your life and allowing your brain to actually use its infinite power to bring you everything you need and want. And this is the state in which you're living your true life purpose. But if for some reason a danger or a threat to your survival should come across your path, then your brain has a defense mechanism to protect you. And that comes from being in your other emotional state, which is your survival state, where your brain ensures that by fight, flight, or freeze, you react without thinking, and then you remove the danger or threat so that you can get back to thriving and being your best. But the way your brain operates to produce either of these two states for you means one important thing in the context of setting goals, and certainly in finding the right goal. And that is that if you want to know what the right goal is, and if you want to achieve it, you can only do that when you're in your natural creative state. You can only find the right goal to go after when you're using your brain's full creative and thinking resources. And that means you can only ever find the right goal when you're in a state of happiness, peace, faith, trust, joy, and love. You can never find the right goal when you're stressed, worried, frustrated, or afraid, because when you do that, you block your brain's full resources. Now, we've explained all of this about how and why it works in previous episodes. But how do you do that? How do you make sure you're in the right emotional state, that you're feeling good when you want to set or achieve a goal to make sure it's going to be the right one for you? Because after all, you might be surrounded by problems in your life, things that are causing you major stress. But the real irony of how your brain works is that you simply cannot solve your problems or even set the right goals, let alone achieve them, if you are in a stressed state. It's simply not how your brain functions. And all of the willpower, determination, prayer, action, hard work, and positive thinking is simply not going to change that. You just have to be in the right brain state, free of worry and stress, if you're going to have any chance of really solving your problems and setting and achieving the right goals. Now, the most effective way I know to do this is to use neurostate rebalancing. Neurostate rebalancing automatically puts your brain into the right state so that you not only see clearly what the right goal for you is, but you also see clearly what you need to do to achieve it. And you get in the flow of achievement so that the results come to you without struggle or problems. And with neurostate rebalancing, you have a sense of certainty about your life that is both exciting and empowering, and you really do achieve everything you really want. And you can find out more about neurostate rebalancing on my website, liamnaden.com. All right, but I mentioned earlier that I had a simple yet powerful 3-step formula that you can use immediately to start making goal setting work for you in your life. And this formula, when you apply it the right way, will ensure that you only set the right goals and you stop setting the wrong goals, so that working towards your goals and living your life becomes enjoyable rather than a struggle. All right, well, there are 3 steps in the formula, and they all begin with the letter A, which is why I call it the AAA formula for setting the right goal. And here it is. The first step, the first A, is to allow. You have to allow the right goal to show up and at the right time. You can't force it. Now remember, force comes from the survival, fight, flight, or freeze brain. But true power, which never involves force, that comes from your creative brain. So that means no struggle with trying to think what your goals should be or how to achieve them. You simply allow the goal to come into your conscious mind when it's ready. And it also means not getting frustrated if you don't know what your goal is. Remember, frustration also blocks the part of your brain that has the answer, your creative brain. So simply allow the right goal to come to you at the right time. And if you don't know what it is yet, just relax and know that it's on the way. It will show up at exactly the right time for you. You know, many people, and I certainly used to be one of them, they try to force themselves to find a goal, and they become so frustrated when the right goal doesn't show up. So frustrated, in fact, that they just pick any goal using their logical thinking brain. And it makes them feel a bit better to have picked a goal, because after all, having any goal is better than no goal at all, right? Well, it is, as you know, but only when you're in your survival state. And I explain why, and why the survival brain has a need for certainty, in other words, having a goal rather than no goal at all. I explained all that in previous episodes. But the reality is, it's far better to have no goal at all than to have the wrong goal. If you have the wrong goal, you're simply going to spend your time and your life struggling to get something, with all of the problems it's going to bring you along the way. And that something wouldn't make you happy even if you got it. And think of how many times you have set a goal or made a decision that was the wrong one, and the huge negative consequences that that had. And about how much time you had to spend undoing or trying to fix problems created for you simply because you made a wrong decision in the first place. So be prepared and willing not to have any goals at all. Just relax. Keep yourself in your natural creative state, which means feeling good, and the right goal is going to show up at the right time for you. Guaranteed. All right, well, the second part of the formula, the second A, that stands for accept. Accept. Now, when the right goal comes to your awareness, and you'll know it's the right goal because of how it makes you feel, then you have to accept it. You have to recognize that it's the right goal for you. Now, it might be something completely new. It might be something you've never thought of. It might mean you have to completely change your beliefs or your expectations about your life. It might mean you have to make some big and possibly radical decisions about your life as well. But if it's the right goal, and it will be if you've followed step number 1 and allowed it to appear while you're in your natural creative brain state, then you must trust that it is what is best for you. So you must accept it. Many people really struggle with this one. They simply won't accept that it's the right goal, the real goal, and that it's where they should be putting their effort. And this is because when they're using their brain the wrong way and they're in a state of fear, their survival brain kicks in, and that survival brain will do everything it can to convince you that something that is new or different is not right for you. It's going to bring you all sorts of fears, doubts, uncertainties, and it's going to try and stop you from taking what it sees as a big risk, which is stepping into the unknown. So you're going to find yourself justifying why you shouldn't accept this goal. You're going to think things such as, well, it's too hard, or I'm too old, or I'm too young, or I might fail, or people will ridicule me, or I might hurt other people. And I might feel and appear to be a failure because it means I have to give up a goal that I already have. And in this state, your logical thinking brain is going to even try and talk you out of it with all sorts of logical arguments. And of course, your present circumstances can make it appear to be very difficult for you to accept the right goal. For instance, if you've worked very hard for something, if it's taken a lot of your time and physical and emotional energy to achieve it, then it's not necessarily going to be easy to let go of it and accept a new goal if that one comes along, even if it is the right one. And this often happens to people who stay in a marriage or relationship, or in a job, or in a business, or a part of a business where everything is very difficult. Now, the right goal in all these situations might be to move on. It might be to end that relationship. It might be to quit the job. It might be to get rid of that business. The right goal might be to do that, but people, of course, find it very hard to do that because the future seems so uncertain. And they feel that the consequences and risks of changing their goal from fixing the problem to simply letting it go, it might be scary or it might end badly for them. But the thing is, when you set the right goal and you strive to achieve it, things always work out better than you expect. But when you try to achieve the wrong goal, things always work out worse than you expect, both for yourself and for others. So you need to be flexible and open-minded, and to have the courage and faith in yourself to accept the right goal when it becomes presented to you. But here's the thing, accepting the right goal will be more difficult than actually achieving it. I'll say that again, accepting the right goal will be more difficult than achieving it. Because once you accept it, you're 90% on the way there. And that only leaves the third and final step, the final A, which is to act. Now you need to take some action. Your right goal is not going to be achieved on its own. You need to play your part. And this is also where many people get stuck. So they know the right goal. They accept that it is the right one, but they don't take any action. And as a result, they become frustrated, confused, and stressed instead of reaching the goal. But here's the thing about taking action, and this is the stumbling block that most people have, because you don't need to know everything that you have to do. You don't need to know all of the steps to achieving your goal. You don't need to know how to achieve it. And you not only don't need to know any of these things, but in fact you can't know. So don't try to. Simply accept that all you need to know, the only thing you need to know, is what to do next. You only need to know the next step, nothing more. And once you take that next step, the next one will become revealed to you. Now this is how your creative brain works in ensuring that you reach the right goal. Because it's your creative brain that's directing things and giving you the instructions on how to reach the goal. It's as if your creative brain is saying to you, okay, I've found the right goal for you and you've accepted it. Good. Now here's the next thing you need to do. Just do this, and when you've done it, I'll show you the next step. If you can allow the right goal to show up at the right time and recognize and accept that it's the right goal, which comes from faith, which comes from understanding how your brain works, and then you act on the next step and only the next step, then you will be astounded not only at how much more you achieve in your life, but at how truly fulfilling your life will be. You will set and achieve the right goals. And you'll also find that you're going to stop doing many, if not all, of the wrong things. In fact, the only time you're going to get knocked off track and do things that cause you problems is when you're acting from fear, stress, frustration and worry, rather than following this process of allowing, accepting and taking the next step, acting. So for now, as you think about what goals you might have in your life, just bring your attention back to this present moment. As I've said before, the present moment is all there is. It's all you have. And it's also the only time when you're in the present moment that you really are in a state of allowing, accepting, and taking the right action. And as you feel your body and mind relax, just consider this. How much better would or could your life be if you took the pressure off yourself? If instead of trying to figure out what to do all the time, in other words, what to do to solve a problem, if instead you learnt how to achieve the right goals and how to get your life to a place where you were truly happy, doing what you loved and actually enjoying every moment without constant stress and struggle. Wouldn't that in itself be a great goal to have and achieve? Well, you know, you really can have a life like that. It really is possible. And in fact, it's not only possible, it's the way you're designed to be. You've been given everything you need to ensure that you live your life achieving your highest potential and being the best and happiest you can be. And it all starts with using your brain the right way. So make the decision that you're going to end the struggle in your life, that you're going to let go, and you're going to trust that your brain, which is this incredible machine of virtually infinite power that's been given to you to serve you and give you what you want, trust that your brain will do its job, do the job it's designed to do, if you allow it. So allow your brain to find the right goals for you. Say to yourself, it's over to you. Find me the right goals and at the right time. I know that you will. And then just wait with a sense of excited expectation. The right goal for you is on the way. You're going to discover what it is. Isn't that exciting? And when the right goal comes into your mind, and it will, accept it. You'll recognize it as the right goal when you see it. So don't try to fight against it, or deny it, block it out, or come up with 100 reasons why it won't work, why it isn't right, or why you shouldn't go after it. All you're doing when you do that is you're fighting against yourself. And you simply don't win the game of life by fighting against yourself. You have to accept that your infinite creative brain knows better than you do. It wants the best for you and it won't let you down. And one of the best ways to stop fighting against it is simply to take action. So ask, what's the next step? And whatever answer you get back, take action. It could be, and in fact it probably will be, something small. It could even be to do nothing at all. Because if you don't know what to do, then do nothing at all. It's better than doing the wrong thing, which will only be the result of you acting out of fear or frustration. And as you take that small action, or no action at all, whatever feels right, then trust that if it does feel right, then it is the right thing. Don't worry about making a mistake. Things might not turn out the way you expect. But if you allow rather than force the right goals to come into your awareness, you accept them as the right goals, and you take the next step that feels right, then your life is going to turn out so much better than you ever expected, and in ways that will surprise and delight you. And you'll discover who you really are and where your true power really lies, and how the key to all of this is in using your brain the right way. That's all for this episode of Using Your Brain for Success. If you'd like to learn more about how to use your brain the right way, visit my website liamnaden.com, and there you'll find more information about my coaching services and ways I can help you achieve your full potential. And you can also learn about neurostate rebalancing. This is a powerful process that automatically gets your brain working the right way so that you live the inspired and fulfilling life that you truly are designed to live. So thanks for listening. I really look forward to connecting with you again soon. Bye for now.